I work at an asylum with no patients. So who's crying in room B9? If you're reading this, I probably didn't make it through the night. Or maybe I did, and just needed someone else to carry this around for a while. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I tell it to you straight. How it started, where it went wrong, and what you absolutely shouldn't do if you find yourself where I am now. It started with Minks. Short, thick glasses, the kind of office issue name badge that looks laminated out of spite. They were the county contractor assigned to Northpoint's shutdown. Said they had worked with everything from condemned stadiums to derailed light rail projects. Security gig, they told me, tossing a set of keys on the table, like we were talking about watching someone's cat. Easy money, no patience, no real staff. Just keep your head down. Do your rounds. Don't open anything that doesn't open for you. When I asked what they meant, they shrugged and said, "You'll get a feel for it." They handed me a manila envelope badge, floor map, flashlight, one working radio, and a pack of papers stamped with county seals and duct tape. The only thing highlighted was a line under room B9. Do not unlock. I remember laughing. Minks didn't. Northpoint Psychiatric Hospital had been dead for 6 years. The last patients were relocated after a funding scandal gutted the regional mental health budget. The press tried to dig up dirt, but everything came back sanitized. Now it's just a shell. Welded doors, striped walls, graffiti from 1,000 different teenagers trying to be the next urban explorer with a drone. The plan was to demolish it next spring, or the one after that. There was a talk about a shopping center or a park, or maybe another housing development no one could afford to live in. Until then, they wanted a body in a chair and a name in a logbook. That body was me. The first night was quiet. Too quiet, maybe, in hindsight. They put me in what used to be the reception ground floor, just past the main entrance. There's still a desk, some drawers, a busted intercom system, and an overhead light that flickers every hour, like it's checking if I'm paying attention. There's heat, sort of. Enough to stop you from freezing, but not enough to call comfortable. The vending machine hums, but won't take any money. The coffee maker is older than I am. I bring my own thermos now. They gave me a simple set of instructions. 1. Stay on the first and second floors. 2. Don't touch the sealed wards. 3. Don't go near the sub-basement. 4. Walk your route every 3 hours. 5. Do not unlock room B9. 6. If you hear anything, log it. Don't investigate. Don't improvise. Number 7. Don't fall asleep. That last one was underlined twice. The first few nights were uneventful. I walked the halls, slow and steady, like I was taught. Flashlight up, clipboard in hand, checked every door, verified the lock lights were green. There's a dull hum that lives in the walls. Old power lines, failing vents. After a while, it becomes background noise. A heartbeat you stop noticing until it stutters. I read old newspapers I found in the lobby filing cabinets. Dated, mostly. Reports on zoning proposals, council meetings, and a few local obits. One small clipping stood out, though. A single column piece halfway down the page. Submarine operator found dead next to unknown body. Officers recovered journal from containment vessel. Vessel was not listed in any international registry. Officials offer no comment. No names, no photos, just that. A man, alone, dead beside something no one recognized. Found drifting near international waters. It unsettled me more than I expected. I folded it up and put it back in its cabinet. I walked the halls like always, clipboard in one hand, flashlight in the other. The building was colder that night. Not in temperature, just in feeling. You ever feel like the walls are breathing a little too deeply? That was the fourth night. Second floor, east wing. The part with the numbered doors, including B9. I'd passed them all 3 times already that week without a second thought. But that night, something stopped me. It wasn't the sound. Not yet. It was the air. The hallway felt wrong. It's hard to describe. I know a lot of people describe things as wrong, but like the moment you realize you've been holding your breath, but you don't know why. I slowed down, let the flashlight sweep across the door frames like always. B5, B6, B7, B8, then B9. Nothing unusual. Same heavy door, same green lock light, glowing faint and steady. The window slit was fogged from the inside, which I chalked up to old sealant or condensation. But the moment I stepped past it, I felt it. The hair on my arm stood up. My chest tightened like the air was heavier near the door than it had any right to be. I stopped walking. I turned around. Nothing had changed, but the silence wasn't empty anymore. It was loaded, like the second before thunder. And then I heard it, just faint enough that I thought I imagined it at first. A sound, soft, broken, a human voice, crying, not sobbing, not wailing, just quiet, hopeless weeping, ragged and low, the kind of crying people do when they're trying not to be heard. I stared at the door, still locked. The sound was coming from the other side. There wasn't supposed to be anyone in there. There wasn't supposed to be anything in there. And just like that, it stopped. Clean, sudden, not faded, like someone cut the wire. I turned around, walked back the way I came, measured steps, straight line. Didn't run, didn't look over my shoulder, didn't even breathe properly until I hit the stairwell and saw the lobby light still flickering through the glass. By the time I got back to the desk, my hands were shaking. I didn't see, just stood there for a while with one hand on the table, the other still gripping the flashlight like it meant something. There's a cold sweat between my shoulder blades, the kind that sticks around long after the moment passes. I poured myself coffee, half full cup, creamer curdled when it hit. Left it untouched. I opened logbook, stared at the empty line under 2 a.m. sweep, and closed it again. There wasn't anything to write that would make sense. Room cried, door didn't open, I didn't check. I kept thinking, maybe the pipes, maybe air in the vents, maybe it was my own breath bouncing weird in the corridor. You start telling yourself things when you don't have a better explanation. I made it through the rest of the shift, sat under the lamp until the sun bled through the pine trees outside, watched dust curl in the warm light like ash. The birds didn't start singing until I'd already packed up. When Minks asked how the night went, I said, uneventful. They nodded like that's what they wanted to hear. I didn't tell them about B9. Not yet, at least. I didn't tell anyone. I haven't slept since. I've already checked the floor plans twice. Room B9 isn't supposed to have vents. The crying came back again the next night. 2:37 a.m. Same as before. It started as I stepped in the hallway outside B9. Not before, not after. Like it was waiting for me. like it knew my schedule. This time, I stood further back. I didn't get close, just let the light from my flashlight brush the door from 20 feet away. The lock light flickered once, green, then dark, then green again. I waited. The crying went on a little longer than last time. Same voice, still soft, still hollow, still hurting. But this time, I noticed something else. There was a rhythm to it. Not emotional, not mechanical, like a loop. Same length of breath, some pause, same hitch near the end. Almost like a playback. I stood there long enough to start memorizing it. And then it stopped. Exactly 31 seconds after it began. I marked the time in my log. Didn't tell Minks. Didn't call. Not yet. But I did start carrying my old recorder. Used to use it for music years ago. Still worked. Next night, I waited outside B9 at exactly 2:35 a.m. Nothing. 2:36? Still nothing. 2:37. It started again. Same breath. Same sob. Same cracked inhale. I hit record. When I played it back at the desk, the audio was useless. Just static. Not even soft. Harsh. Punctuated. Like it sounded like the crying was being choked out of the tape. Overwritten. Like it didn't want to be recorded. That's when the layout started changing. Subtle at first, distances not adding up. Walked 15 steps from B5 to B9 one night. Walked 23 the next. The walls were the same, but the ceiling tiles had shifted. Slight misalignments. A section near the end, the hole, looked like it had been ripped down and reinstalled backwards. Another night I passed B9 and found a black scuff mark across the base of the door. Same shape as a shoe sole. I checked my boots. It matched perfectly. Only problem was, I hadn't been down that hole yet that night. I started forgetting things, little things, time, order, a little bit of how my own voice sounded. One night I opened my logbook and found notes written in my handwriting that I didn't remember writing. Don't respond to it. Don't answer questions you don't remember being asked. You'll forget this. It always makes you forget. They were scribbled between my patrol entries, like I'd written them in a rush. Some were crossed out. I don't remember doing that either. The building began folding. One hallway had a light at the end that never got closer, no matter how far I walked. I turned around and I was back at reception. I didn't remember the stairs. One of the stairwells led down instead of up. Only one floor above, but I took 30 steps downwards and came out at the same level. I started checking the blueprints every night, holding them up to what I walked. Things didn't match. Room B9 moved 2 feet to the left between Thursday and Sunday. That's not a guess. I measured it. The crying changed too. It stopped waiting for 2:37. Sometimes I'd hear it from the other wing, or echoing faintly from the vents, even though the vents don't run there. Once I heard it from the lobby while I was sitting at my desk. I went to check the front door. No one's there. Then I turned around. The logbook had fallen open. New entry. 2:37 a.m. Heard crying. Didn't check. Good. I didn't write that. The next night, I saw someone at the end of the hallway. I was sweeping the west side, nowhere near B9, when my flashlight caught a figure standing just past the corner. Uniform like mine, head down, shoulders tight. They didn't move. I called out, no answer. I stepped forward, light shaking, turned the corner. Nothing. Just a mirror. I didn't sleep for 2 days after that. Just laid on the couch at home and stared at the wall, waiting to hear crying through the vents. I stopped eating after 7 p.m., started double logging my rounds, left sticky notes for myself on the desk with little instructions. Count the doors before you walk. Check both hands before writing. If something feels familiar, stop. None of it helped. The next over, well, things unfortunately started to make sense. I wasn't looking for anything when I found the first one. It was in a locked drawer behind reception, jammed shut with a dried-up Sharpie. Took me 20 minutes of screwdriver work and quiet swearing to get it open. Inside was a folder labeled Northpoint Decommission Report. Internal only. At first, it's just what I expected. Contractor delays, budget reviews, asbestos issues. Someone's handwritten note in the margins read, "Tell them the power lines are unstable again." Then I saw the demolition status. Demolition postponed indefinitely. Reason, pending federal observation. See internal binder, page 34, B9, lock warning. Page 34 was torn out, but I didn't need it, because I found the other journal the next night. It was behind a vent crate in the second floor east stairwell, stuffed tight between the insulation and rusted bolts, wrapped in medical gauze and tied with twine. On the first page, field log, B-series classification, internal use only. Property of Federal Containment Division. Operator, redacted. It wasn't a hospital journal. It was something else. The first few pages listed rooms like a threat index, B1 through B8. I flipped through the summaries, words like auditory imprint, behavioral bleed, and identity delamination. Each entry got shorter until I reached the final one. Full journal excerpt, page B9, classification entry. Room designation, B9. Class, behavioral, identity anomaly. Description, B9 presents as a standard psychiatric isolation room, but exhibits recursive auditory phenomena and spatial instability. Origin of anomaly unknown, believed to have originated from a containment attempt on patient B9. Subject now missing. Symptoms/effects. Persistent crying heard only by single observers. Timeline misalignment. Subjective time differs by observer. Identity dissonance in long-term observers. Emergence of duplicate log entries written in subject's own hand. Observer's report of loss of name, orientation, or purpose. Notes. Attempts to relocate or seal B9 result in environmental destabilization. All B-class entities 1 through 8 have had no issues. Room appears on floor plans dated before original construction. Several observers have been reclassified as B9 after exposure. Remarks. The room identifies you, not the other way around. B9 is not violent. It mourns. That's worse. Containment status, unstable. Mobility class. Non-relocatable. Final entry. Containment has failed. Anomaly no longer confined to architectural boundaries. Recommend full quarantine of site. Do not assign new personnel. Do not engage. Dated. No. That can't be right. No. It's the same day I started this damn job. I read it twice. Then again, I checked the date, my hand shaking before I finished. I don't know if it was the same pen, but the ink looked fresh. I sat there for a long time. Floor cold under me, pages open in my lap, crying, echoing faintly down the stairwell. Not from B9, from somewhere lower. I understand now. The containment wasn't the door. It wasn't the lock. It was attention. The moment someone looks, the moment someone remembers, it starts again. The moment I took the job, I became a part of this anomaly. The room isn't crying because it's haunted. It's crying because I'm late. The final straw was the footprints. On night 11, I passed B9 like always. Slow, quiet, and steady. The crying started late at 2:41 a.m. Just as soft, just as sad. But when I passed the door again, 10 minutes later on my return loop, there were wet prints outside it, like bare feet had stepped into the dust. 5 prints. No smudging, no exit trail. Just 5 perfect prints, facing the door, like someone had been standing there, listening. That was the last straw. I had to call Minks. They didn't answer. And, more horrifyingly, the door was open. I didn't hear it unlock. I didn't see the panel flash red or green. I was doing my usual round, slow, tired, waiting for the crying. And when I turned the corner, there it was, B9, cracked open 6 inches. Dark inside. The lock light was off. Not red, not green, just dead. I froze. The crying hadn't started yet. The hall felt emptier than usual, like something had just left the space, or maybe like something was holding its breath, watching me choose. I could have walked away. Should have. But I didn't. I stepped forward. Each step felt like it weighed more than the last. The hallway warped slightly around the frame, like heat haze, only colder. I pushed the door open with the back of my hand. It creaked. Dry hinges, no resistance. And inside, the first thing I noticed was that it wasn't dusty. All the other rooms had layers of grime, cobwebs, scratched tiles, and broken drawers. B9 looked lived in. Clean bed, folded blanket, a chair beside the wall, fresh scuffs on the floor, like someone had been pacing. The light in the ceiling buzzed faintly, working. Too warm. The air smelled like metal and old paper. There was no one inside, at least not visibly. But there was a sound, soft and low. Not crying, breathing, like something had just finished. I stepped inside just past the threshold. The room was too quiet. My ears rang like it just stepped off a plane. There was writing on the wall, carved into the paint, over and over again. Remember yourself. You have to forget. You are not one. I backed up, flashlight trembling in my hand.
That's when I saw it. In the far corner, tucked behind the cabinet, was something that shouldn't exist. A locker. My locker. Same name, same number, same rusted hinge. Even the sticker on the side. Property of County Maintenance, NPH. I walked towards it. I didn't want to, but I couldn't stop at this point. I touched the handle. Cold. I opened it. And inside was me. Not a body, not a reflection, just my uniform, hung neatly, my boots, clean, my thermos, full, and my logbook, open to today's date, entry written in my handwriting. The crying stopped. She's not alone anymore. I dropped the book. It hit the floor too softly. That's when the lights went out, and the crying started again. But not from inside the room. From the hallway. Close. Then behind me. Then inside my head. I ran. I didn't make it far. The hall was longer now. The lights flickered red. Every door was open. Every room was empty. Every room was B9. I found myself at reception eventually, or something like it. Desk was in the same place, chair too, but the logbook was already filled out for the night. Written in my hand. I flipped back a few pages, all blank, except for the last one. You can't trap a voice. You can only join the song. I tried to leave. The door was gone. If someone finds this, if you're holding this page, don't unlock the door. Please, whatever you do, don't let it out. I've been inside this place for 24 nights at this point. I think. The clocks are gone now. So is my watch. So is the sky. I think I slept once, but it's hard to say. The lights blink out at different times, and sometimes the sun rises through the wrong window, or doesn't even rise at all. Room B9 is gone. Or maybe it's everything now. Maybe the asylum grew around it, or was always made of it, and I only ever noticed because I didn't belong here. But now, I do. It's crying again. Not from the hallway this time, from beneath the floor. Soft at first, like it's mourning something, like it lost something precious, and now it's reaching out through the walls, trying to find a shape to wear. It doesn't want out. It wants someone with it. Someone who will listen. Someone who will stay. I understand now. That's why the room never broke open. That's why the lock was never cut. It doesn't open for anyone. It opens to someone. And it opened to me. I found another note in the logbook this morning. Not in my handwriting. Different ink. Different slant. But familiar. You said you'd stay this time. You promised. There was a coffee ring beside it. My thermos lid still wet. I've stopped running patrols. There are no more halls. No more rooms. Every hallway leads back here. Every door opens into the lobby. And the crying never stops now. It's in the wiring, in the hum of the vent, in the space between words when I try to talk to myself. It's closest when I'm quiet. So I've made my choice. The door is back. I can leave freely. I don't think I should. I think this place needs an anchor, a witness, something to sing to. If I lock the outer doors, maybe it won't reach further. Maybe it'll think I stayed. Maybe it'll let the rest of the world go. If this story ever gets out, if you're reading this now, I didn't succeed. Or I left this here on purpose so someone would remember. Please, if you hear crying in the middle of the night, not sobbing, not screaming, just that soft, shaking, lonely kind of crying, don't listen, don't stop, don't go to the door. It's crying again. I need to go now. I have to lock it in. With me. I don't know why. But I think I need to cry.